The views and opinions expressed on Beautiful Disasters are those of the panelists and not those of the Geeks Under the Influence Network, their sponsors, or anyone else involved. Also, there is going to be a lot of adult language used on this podcast, so please keep your little kiddies away unless you don't care about them that much.
Welcome back to Beautiful Disasters. Schlocktober is upon us. And this is another episode of A Die for Dead formats that I run with my very good brother from another mother. Jesse, how you doing, man?
I'm all right.
I am, of course, the Grutz. And we, like I said, we cheated a little bit because we were lined up as the die roll happened last time we did one to do a movie called Sex Machine. Some cheesy ass 80s flick that never made it past VHS. However, being Schlocktober, we decided again to cheat, and one of the other films on the list is a movie called The Runestone, which never made it past VHS and Laserdisc. I happen to have the Laserdisc in glorious widescreen.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It really did the movie justice.
Yeah, really. Yeah, no, it made all the difference. No. I don't think it would have mattered. I will say one thing about this, and the reason I bought it was that the cover is graced, the half of the cover is the face of a guy named Alexander Godunov, who everyone will know it was the main henchman in Die Hard. He was Hans Gruber's main henchman.
The long-haired blonde guy.
Yeah, who had a little brother who got killed early in the movie and got a Santa hat put on him, and now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. Anyway, he was really mad through that whole movie, but he was like the heavy, the badass, the boss level henchman, okay, of Die Hard. And that's what everybody knows him from.
Top billing.
The cover of this movie was literally half of his face. And the Runestone, blah, blah, blah. I was like, some kind of a horror movie. I don't know. Buying it. I think I got it for like $2 or $3 in like a bargain bin at Plan 9 or something. Anyway, this ended up on the list because it never made it past old formats. And fuck it, let's just get into this bitch.
I mean, for good reason. This movie is utterly forgettable.
Yes, it is.
I will say that it did something that most horror movies, fantasy movies didn't really do in the really early 90s, which was focused on Norse mythology. So they tried to make a sort of a horror movie out of that.
Yeah.
It didn't exactly work.
Ragnarok did come up at some point in conversation in this movie.
I mean, I don't think they mentioned Thor once or Odin, but it was all about Tyr.
Yeah, Tyr and Fenrir. And yeah. So, all right. As we start this thing, we have a sequence, and this happens basically the first half of the movie, the only time you see the dude from the cover, who is the clockmaker. You see him in a shop with a bunch of clocks, and weird stuff's happening, and there's some little kid. You don't know who the fuck the kid is. And
you never know.
And just weird stuff's happening. And then suddenly we're in Western Pennsylvania, and one of our other main characters basically is a collector who is also interested in archaeological artifacts, and in some kind of a fucking mine situation he finds this...
I thought he was an archaeologist.
Kind of, but he was also a collector because he was tied to that art world shit.
He was
right?
more like, Heinrich Schliemann, where he was like a half-assed archaeologist and just basically interested in taking the artifacts and then,
Yeah.
putting them on display.
He was like the anti-Indiana Jones. Like, he didn't want to give it to a museum. He wanted to keep that shit. In any case, he finds this stone structure has like a symbol. They call it the Runestone. Anyway, finds it. And then we get introduced very quickly. By the way, there's a lot of fucking characters in this movie. For no goddamn good reason.
Way too many characters. Way too many characters.
And we meet his ex, who is played by Joan Severance. And she's talking to, like, her boyfriend, I guess, who's an actual archaeologist.
Yeah.
And he's, like, an expert. And by the way, everybody in this movie, for the most part, are all mostly, like, TV or B-movie, C-grade, straight-to-video sort of actors. Like we already said, the Die Hard guy, main dude, what's his name? Mitchell Lawrence.
Yep.
He's
not... I wouldn't say he's the main dude. He's the main villain, I guess.
Yeah.
He becomes like, the main villain.
Yeah. I remember him little bit from like Stepfather 2, and then I guess he was in Sinjanor, but
he was in Night Court, and he was in that movie with the 90210 guy that Cold-Blooded, the Cosmo.
Oh yeah. No, I thought that was movie. No, that's the other guy. That was Captain Fanducci.
Oh no, that's right.
Yeah.
I got confused there.
He's both our favorite character. We're gonna get to him.
We'll get to him.
Joan Severance, who's like kind of like the ex love interest and whatever, she was in Black Scorpion most prominently as a lead. But I did want to read off very quickly. She had a bunch of straight-to-video kind of skin flicks, and the titles read like the opposite of all of Steven Seagal's movies in the 80s. So it's like illicit behavior, criminal passion, dangerous indiscretion, hard evidence, Last Seduction 2, Matter of Trust. Like,
they made a sequel to The Last Seduction.
Yeah, I guess she wasn't good enough for the first one. So anyway, she's like the hot lady, and whatever.
And she is, her character exists in this movie to be manhandled, because that's all that happened to her. Like,
oh yeah, no, she didn't really have like much to go with.
She was she was a punching bag through the whole movie.
Yeah. So we get introduced to her and her archaeological dude, who Sam, I guess is his name, was played by Tim Ryan. His entire like filmography is all just like TV roles in this movie, basically. So, whatever. However, we end up in a scene shortly thereafter where Martin has transported this runestone that he found to his modern, like, sort of condo. I don't know what the fuck it was. It was like a big ass.
It was the
like an institute or something.
No, it was the like the art house, or like it was like a museum that
it's like
museum slash like art gallery,
collector's lair or whatever.
Yeah,
wherever he kept all his shit. And I mean, obviously he was rich enough that he had like security guards and like people to like restore stuff and look after it. Anyway, we quickly find out that like there's a dead dude in an elevator that apparently has died from something related to this artifact. And then this movie kind of jumps all around, so it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. And then we meet the old dude with the young grandnephew or whatever it is. The old dude is his name is Lars Hagstrom. He's played by William Hickey, who you called first was the dude from
Puppet Master. Yeah.
Puppet Master. Fuck yeah, Toulon.
Yep.
And then he also I think he had some like roles in like different like gangstery things, but he was in Preetsy's Honor with Jack Nicholson. Old dude, you know his face. You see if you see him, you'll be like, oh, that guy. He's been in a bunch of shit.
Unmistakable
Yeah.
Voice and and verbal patterns. Like I don't know if he's got a speech impediment or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Unmistakable.
And then the youngest cast member, he's got to be like what? Supposed to be like 16, 17 in the movie, maybe.
I don't even know if that was even
something like that. Anyway,
I thought he was in his 20s. I mean,
his name is Jacob. He might have been in his 20s. Is played by Chris Young.
yeah.
The thing, like when I looked up his stuff, like the thing I knew him most from was Max Headroom.
Yeah.
He was the young kid in that. He was in PCU in The Great Outdoors. He was one of the kids.
That's right. He was PCU. That was
Yeah, and I guess he was also in Warlock, the Armageddon.
the sequel.
Yeah,
Oh man, I don't even remember. I've seen it, but I don't remember.
Warlock was great, but like the rest of
Yeah.
them were like, oh
No.
But yeah. Anyway, they're basically they're talking about, I don't know, weird shit, prophecy and stuff. Like the old dude is
It's his grandfather is talking to his uncle. William Hickey is his uncle.
Yeah.
And like his grandfather. And they're talking about stuff, and he's being a typical rebellious, like, teen or tween or something, and, not driving with anything they're talking about. Doesn't believe in all the weird, mysterious stuff that we have no idea what they're talking about at this point in the movie anyway.
right, exactly. So then we hard cut. By the way, all the scenes are pretty much hard cut.
Yep.
We hard cut to the coolest fucking party I've ever wanted to go to, which is now it seems cool in the opening shots because it's basically, it looks like a art gallery where people get to take sledgehammers to walls and just fuck it up.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's
Interactive
awesome.
performance art. Like,
That's awesome. And then we start hearing all the different guests talking.
oh my god.
And it's the most vapid, aristocratic bullshit.
I feel like the screenwriter was trying to satirize the art house community. Like,
Oh yeah, no, definitely,
like hard.
and that's good because later we get some real good payback on that. But it was a cool ass scene just to see like this weird ass thing, and the head honcho of this particular gallery shindig is like this sleazy art dude with crazy earrings going on, and he's obviously like the most like Heather of all of them.
Yeah,
he's like
he is a caricature of like art studio, art gallery owners. He dresses in the most garish fashions with and always has some big ass earring.
His nose is really high. He's like the mean girl of that community. And I forgot to mention. So this guy Martin, who found the Runestone, he's connected to this whole community, but he immediately upon seeing him, he looked like a slightly buffer, slightly taller Steve Gutenberg. And I think
that's right.
I think I referred to him throughout the movie as like, fuck man, buff Steve Gutenberg is really fucking shit up. But he doesn't gel that well with this crowd, and he ends up like banging on a wall to get his, friggin'.
Well, he's got a lot of stuff going on because he has a history, romantic history with Joan Severance's character.
Right.
Obviously, he doesn't have everything he wants out of life, and plays an important part of this.
Yep. And then he after breaking up the wall a little bit, he leaves the party, and then as he's walking on the street, the old dude, played by William Hickey, is like, "Hey, you found the Runestone. It's cursed." Whatever he says.
And they apparently know each other. So
yeah, that's basically the communication. He's just like, "Get the fuck out of my face, man. I don't believe in that shit." And we have a brief scene of the clockmaker having more visions of now he's having visions of a demon monster. And then fast forward to, we're back in his collector's studio art gallery thing. And he's got two security guards that start hearing sounds, or one does, and the other guy is getting killed off screen, and then the dude who looks like fucking, what did you say? Like Kenny Rogers?
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers as a security guard with dark hair. And he goes to investigate.
Also, it's like a love child of Kenny Rogers and like Danny McBride.
Yes. And he goes to investigate, and some fucking creature monster situation pins him up against a wall. He unloads his freaking revolver into it and gets killed. So there are 2 security guards are slaughtered by the monster, and now we get introduced to the best character in this fucking movie. Because now the cops are on the scene, and Captain Fanducci, played by Peter Riegert, who's been in a bunch of shit. You called that he was in Cold-Blooded, that movie with Jason Priestley, right?
Yeah.
I remember from The Mask, because he was also the cop in The Mask that was like, what the fuck is going on? He was in a movie called Oscar. He's a very recognizable face. He's been in a bunch of shit. A lot of TV, too. But he is definitely the baddest ass character in this movie because he does not give a fuck. And he says what he needs to say, and he cusses the whole fucking movie through.
F-bomb, every other word. He's the only memorable character.
Yeah.
And it's not just because of the cursing. Like, he's pretty much the only entertaining character.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody else is completely throwaway, especially the tertiary, like the latter characters who have way more importance to the plot than is ever explained and is seems necessary.
Right. Like the fucking characters that didn't even need to be in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get back to that. So, he's playing like the hard-boiled detective. That's kind of his shtick. And he is on the case, and he's investigating, and he's like, and of course, like, they come into the place, and I guess Joan Severance and the other dude, and like her boyfriend, are nearby, so they just like tag along into the crime scene, and they see shit like, oh my god, and they're like, oh my god, where's Martin? The main dude, and he's not there, and they're allowed to walk around a fucking crime scene and see.
Yeah. Oh, they didn't even shut the place down. Like in real life, the entire building would be shut down. That business would be closed until they finish the investigation. No, they still go on about every day is normal, and like they don't even rope off the area where the guards got killed.
This is a recurring theme for most of the movie, where the cops are so fucking dumb and do not do their jobs right or react to anything right. Half the things that happen in this movie, like 2 cops go after it. It's just like, what the fuck?
Until the end.
Until the end. We'll get to that. That's funny as fuck. And then we have a brief introduction to a minor character, but I have to mention the fucking chief cop. Chief Richardson is played by Lawrence Tierney, who played Joe in Reservoir Dogs a year after this movie was made. But he also has a pedigree of, like, he was in all the film noir shit back in the day.
Yeah.
Back in the 50s, 40s, 50s and stuff. Like, that's where he made his career. And now it's later in his career, and he doesn't give a fuck. You can tell. But he's having fun. Just being like, this shit ain't real, fuck you.
No. Jesus Christ. What was his theory? It was a guy running around in a bulletproof dog suit. That was his hypothesis.
Yeah.
Like, you're a real cop there, dude. You're a real detective.
Hey, I live in the real world. It couldn't be a fucking werewolf, some shit.
Bulletproof dog suit. Okay.
Oh, he's from New York. He's a hard-boiled New York cop. He's seen the shit. Oh my god, man. So then we have a very brief throwaway scene where someone interacts with a bum on the street that has a cardboard sign that says notary on it. This is the weird shit that happens in this movie often. You're just like, what the fuck is that? And then it's over, and you're like,
can I get you to witness this?
It's like,
here's 50 cents.
It's like, hey man, I just need something to eat. I'll notarize some shit for you. Like, what the fuck? Seriously? After a while, I guess Martin shows up. He's been missing ever since this whole debacle happened. He shows back up at Joan Severance's place and basically starts like roughing her up. Like, hey,
well, her and her boyfriend are there. They're both there, and
yeah,
he comes in and talks about wanting the painting that of him. That she
right, the painting. But he's coming. He's like getting physical with her, and the boyfriend's somewhere else in the back. She starts yelling for him because he's like getting handsy. And
the dude's basically like, I want you. You're gonna be mine.
I want you back. You're gonna be mine. I was like, I think there was a Guns N' Roses song about that.
So he beats the shit out of
the boyfriend. Right? Yeah.
Starts roughing her up.
Yep.
And then he just leaves the painting.
He leaves the painting. He says some bullshit like,
I'm gonna leave the painting with you so
you can remember me or something. Some shit like that. I was like, what the fuck? So that takes Marla, Joan Severance, to go to see the old dude, Lars Hagstrom, William Hickey.
How did we get to that point? How did they find out about him? And like, there was something in there, but I just don't recall.
I don't know.
There's no real logic.
No,
to the
it's not.
Stones and the breadcrumbs.
Everything kind of goes across, and like the throwaway scenes in this movie, like, and some of the like imagery and symbolism really come across as like someone wanted to make like an artsy horror film, but just didn't really know how to make that congeal. So it doesn't. It's just most of it just doesn't work. But yeah, they go to see the old dude who had the prophecy, and he explains. Let's see here. So the Vikings brought the Runestone to the New World to offload it because it was cursed and evil.
Yeah.
And they were going to leave it there, right? And he had some good lines here. And he's like, every dogma has its day. And it's good to be on a one-on-one basis with evil.
No, it's good to be on a first-name basis with evil.
Or, something like that. Yeah.
He also explains that he was a member of the Watchmen, which is basically the diehard villains.
Yeah, the clockmaker.
His group is called the Watchmen, and they're I guess obviously their job is to watch for this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and fight it.
So during their visit, God damn it, this movie had to do it. He had a faithful dog, like a German Shepherd. It gets killed, thankfully off screen, and the old dude finds it, and then it like mauls the old dude.
Yeah.
And then it starts coming back down to his apartment where they were, and the monster's chasing Joan Severance, and she gets down out of the building and starts running across a park, and it fucking just like stops to kill a bum. Like this monster stops to kill a bum.
She gets scared by the bum because she bumps into him, and then she runs off, and then
he's just like a wino. He's just like a wino. Like, what are you doing? Dirt kills the bum, and then she runs like under like one of those little like in the park or whatever, one of those little tunnels that goes under something else. And there's like these punk like rapists.
Yeah.
These punk rapists. And she's just like, oh my god. And they're like basically accosting
She's trying
her.
to warn them there's something coming.
There's
and they're
something
like,
coming.
My buddy's coming. We're all three of us are gonna run a trade on you or something.
Yeah, something like that. And they get fucking murdered the fuck. It's just like, just straight up like, burp, done. And then, oh my god. Then we have, this is probably my favorite sequence of the movie. Where, following the events that we just talked about.
Yeah.
We have a sequence that intersperses different characters doing things, where we have Captain Fanducci investigating, snooping for clues. We also have a raccoon watching the wino get killed, and then we have a sex scene all at the same time, intercut between this sequence, where Severance is fucking her boyfriend, and there's a full moon, and she climaxes with the full moon, and it's just like, what the fuck is happening?
That sequence was fucking genius.
That was hilarious.
So you had the image of the full moon, and then you had the silhouette of the beast's claw passing in front of it, like Elliot and E.T.
Yes.
And then, which immediately transmogrifies into the silhouette of Joan Severance, like climaxing.
Climax silhouette. Yeah, it was the ET moment. Yeah,
this was like the I'm gonna win an Academy Award for cinematography for this sequence. It was utterly ridiculous.
Absolutely. We had another interspersed scene with the Clockman seeing eyes and claws and saying his first line, Fenrir. And then you feel like, oh, maybe he's going to do something in this movie instead of just being like some dude in a freaking like clock repair shop somewhere being weird. So yeah, the grandnephew knows something.
He's that kid has also he's been having dreams his whole life.
Yes, yeah, he has been. Yeah, and he's at his, because his grandfather also got fucked up.
We don't know what happened to the grandfather. That's the thing. Was he attacked? It never tells you what actually. Really maybe know. He had a heart attack or something,
but he's in the hospital.
He's in the hospital. Yeah,
I figured completely unnecessary character.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it just been like William Hickey's character and the kid?
Yeah.
Not to mention the kid didn't even need to be in the movie either, but like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's there with, and Severance is there talking to him, basically like, you know something, don't you? And he starts saying something, and he tells like a little bit of a story. When he turns around, she's fucking gone.
She fucking turns into Batman.
But
there's no... Why did you just leave when he was in mid-sentence? You were asking him for information, and he finally decides to give it to you, and suddenly you disappear.
What person does that?
What was the motive behind that?
No.
And then in the next scene, he's following her, and they're like...
Right.
With her boy... I think it was with her boyfriend. He was there.
Yeah.
Like, none of this makes any sense.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, they go to meet like this old art guy that has some fucking old ass paintings, and then the kid shows up and they break through the painting or the mural wall, and there's a fucking axe in there.
Tyr's axe. Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
It's a painting of Tyr fighting Fenrir and like
and they're talking about Ragnarok and shit. And then we get to the best fucking sequence of the entire movie, which is where we're at the second super elite douchebag art party. Same dude with the earring is hosting, and this one, instead of like busting up walls, this one is what do they call it? Fucking art installations with live action actors doing things. So there's
mundane things. Yeah, they're all doing like housework and
stuff.
Stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So like the main one is like there's like a woman ironing on the ironing board behind a plate of glass, like in this setup, like sort of set scene.
There's a dude sitting on a sofa watching Godzilla.
Yeah, exactly.
Like old Godzilla movies, like.
And then you have like behind the glass, you have all these like aristocratic, like, high society art people, just like, oh my, it's so beautifully ordinary, and just saying awful.
I can't decide if I like it.
I like it. I wish I could buy it, but I can't. And it's like fucking bullshit. And guess what? the fucking monster that has been ravaging, like killing lots of people, shows up to the new art party. Shows up, kills some dude in the bathroom or something, and then it shows up in the art installation with the girl that's ironing, and creeps up, and she starts getting freaked the fuck out, and they're like, oh, what, this one's getting really good, and they think it's a fucking show, and it like mauls this bitch, and then it like breaks through the glass and starts killing all the art people. That was the greatest sequence of the movie.
It was pretty damn fantastic. I mean, he murders almost all of them.
Oh my god, dude. That was great. And big ass massacre there. Lots of motherfuckers die. And then, of course,
Fanducci shows up.
Fanducci shows up with one dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And suddenly there's a smoke machine. There's a bunch of freaking fog on the ground, which, like, where did that come from?
Yeah, right? Oh, God. He shows up with one dude, one other cop, and they're like, all right, we're going to go investigate. Like, the fuck? And there's a pretty decent epic fight between Fanducci and the monster. Monster, like, kind of gores him on the face, which ends up being a scratch, and he ends up, like, falling off the roof to escape the monster, but he, like, catches a flagpole or some shit, whatever, awning or something.
Didn't they have, like, a chase scene across the rooftops, and he was doing, like, parkour?
Yeah, he did, like, a chase scene, and then they were like, oh, shit, and then he ran back. They ran back to the other, and then he, like, oh, I gotta get off this fucking roof. So he doesn't die, which is awesome, because he's the best character. And then we get... All right, so the cop body count gets crazy, because he calls in backup, and other cops show up, and I think there's a... At one point, the monster kills a cop and takes its hat.
Yeah, kills a cop in a car.
In a car.
Yeah,
and takes his cop hat and puts it on. And then
when his partner comes back,
yeah, he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Oh shit! And he's dead.
He puts the fucking hat. Seeing this big werewolf motherfucker with a cop hat on, I'm like, oh my god, I've seen this movie before.
So there's a big standoff in this apartment, and it gets to the point where, like, the monster's there, and they start shooting him, and one or two guys get killed, and then they just start shooting him a lot. Like, crazy a lot. Fanducci's got, like, a fucking, like, MAC-10, and he's just like, nerd!
Yeah! Wait, like, where the fuck did he get a MAC-10 from?
Like, obviously, they armed themselves. Like, they finally called some backup with some fucking firepower. One dude's got a shotgun. He's just unloading. And he's just, like, dropping magazines out of the MAC-10, reloading, just like, nerd! Eventually, the monster jumps out the window like, oh, I've had enough.
I think that was my favorite sequence of the movie, actually. Mine was where, like, Fanducci's shooting it, and the cop with the shotgun, he tells him to take off. He's like, I guess he wants to, he doesn't want any more cops to die. So he tells the shotgun cop to take off. So the shotgun cop exits frame, right? But then comes back with, like, 5 other guys, and they just fucking unload into this thing. Yeah. And it was like, yeah!
That's right, yeah.
Redemption.
That was going to be the Fanducci fucking martyr scene.
Yep.
And then everyone came back and like, no, we got 1,000 rounds for you, bitch.
And he rips the window out into pieces and then jumps out.
Yeah. And then the next sequence we have is the clock man shows up on the scene. He's like, all right, I know how to deal with this, and here's what I need.
Oh, yeah, talking to Mr. Police Commissioner.
The captain.
And he, like, I don't know if he hypnotizes him or whatnot, but he's just, like, it does a close-up on his stare. And, yeah, so, like, yeah, he's like, what did he say? What were the first two things?
I need blood. I need some blood.
I need some blood. I need some of its hair.
I need half of a lamb.
Oh, that's right.
And then I need you to provide me 100 cops. I'm like, what the fuck?
And then it just it does a close up on his stare, and then police commissioner is just like, okay.
Yeah, at first he was like, get the fuck out of here. Lawrence Tierney being like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, this guy. And yeah, then he gets hypnotized and he's fine. And then we get to the final, I guess, showdown here, where we have the magic axe found behind the wall, ends up in the fight where it's in Martin's, gallery, collector's lair, whatever it is. Big fight with the axe where Monster's there, the kid Jacob's there, Joan Severance. There
was another sequence that we missed where the boyfriend, the archaeologist's boyfriend, goes back to Pennsylvania into the cave where they found the runestone, and he's taking pictures of the runes that were in the ceiling and trying to decipher what they're talking about. And
I forgot about that.
I think that's what leads us to know that it's like Fenrir. What's going on and Ragnarok and all that shit.
Yeah, at least they were doing their due diligence.
And that's what led them to the paintings and the Watchmen and all that. But everybody's in this fight, like all the main characters.
Yeah, all the main characters are in there, and
quote,
basically
unquote, main characters.
Basically, Clockman. Now, you're expecting like a fight, but he just kind of moves and steps back slowly from the big beast, like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna face you, but like I'm just gonna take my time, and and eventually, what was he fighting? He was fighting with what, like a sword at first or something? What was he fighting with?
I don't remember. I think he had a sword, but it's hard to remember. Yeah.
But it wasn't until the kid showed up with the axe.
Yeah.
And then he tries to, he like wings the monster, but like monster just throws him aside, and then Clockmaker gets the axe eventually.
Yeah.
And it's not as epic as you want it to be.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of a cool sequence where they he hit him in the chest with the axe and then pushed it all the way through his body and to hand the axe to the kid.
That was the best. That was the best fucking thing right there. And then at some point they the runestone thing turned into a portal or created a portal and they walked through it.
No, the runestone was in the center of the room, and there was also these sort of gate doors, stone doors on either side of it. And one of them, becomes like this portal. Yeah. And they go through, and he steps, the dude, Blondie, steps back through it, and then they're in another realm.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever it is. Whatever it's supposed to be.
So, yeah. And
the thing about about Blondie is that he's got a black glove on, and all of this is they never actually say any of this in the movie.
Right.
Or call attention to it in any way, but that's the big implication that he is Tyr, or at least a reincarnation or something like that.
Yeah.
So he's been doing this kind of thing for a long time. That's the implication. He's been fighting evil monsters because he's a freaking Norse god, and I don't know where the kid ties into this at all, or the Watchmen.
I don't even remember. Yeah, it's not important, but. Basically, yeah, the monster is finally defeated, and what happened after that? Was there anything, or did it just roll credits?
I mean, the dude turns back into him. Fenrir is once again trapped back in the stone.
Right.
Oh, damn! What did happen at the end of it? Jesus Christ!
Maybe there wasn't anything. It might have just rolled credits.
I remember the credits. That's the biggest thing I remember about the movie.
Well, that's how memorable the end was.
I mean, everybody lived happily ever after, I guess. I think that was actually the ending, is they beat Fenrir, the dude was dead, and then it was just kind of, that was it. Maybe there was a scene after with Fanducci, because
maybe. All I know is he was the best character of the movie. Like he was
the only good character.
He was salty and sarcastic and sassy and fucking hard boiled and cynical. He was
always like talking shit to the boyfriend. You know, like basically like whatever, nerd.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know?
He was the best. He was the best.
You fucking suck.
All right, so I mean, I guess that pretty much was Runestone. That's everything that happened in the movie. I would say, good Lord,
it was a mess.
It was an absolute mess. It tried to do a lot of things. Like there were a couple decent kills and a bunch of bullshit kills. Like, you know, as far as a horror movie goes, like it was all over the place. It kind of wanted to be Indiana Jones for a minute, and
yeah, the scoring in this movie is the strangest thing about it.
Yeah,
it was like you had suspenseful, like thriller music going on, and then it suddenly, for a second, turns into a whimsical Indiana Jones like adventure
fucking
for like 5
treasure
seconds, and then goes back to da 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 da, and Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this movie was all over the place.
I mean, it wasn't bad enough to... It wasn't a so bad it's good movie, and it wasn't bad enough to completely trash it. I was entertained by it.
Yeah.
It was ultimately forgettable, but I do appreciate that they weren't doing all the typical things you would see in a horror movie.
I love the fact that...
Especially for the 90s.
That somebody pitched this, not only pitched it, but also got it funded. Like, this is going to be the next big thing.
I mean, it was like trying to be like an ensemble cast horror movie.
It really kind of did. Everybody was in this fucking movie.
They hired as many people as they could afford.
Every familiar,
Cheaply.
Slightly familiar face that you've ever seen. Marginally familiar face that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But in any case, yes. That was the Runestone. And normally at this point in the episode, we would talk about rolling a die for the next movie. But since we cheated, we already have our next movie ready to go. So we're going to wrap this shit up. I just want to say really quickly, thank you to everyone who listens to Beautiful Disasters. Check us out on Facebook, Beautiful Disasters Podcast. You can email us directly with recommendations on shitty-ass, crazy-ass movies to watch at beautifuldisasterspodcast@gmail.com. And check out the other shows on the GUI Network. We've got a bunch and lots of great content. And outside of that, all I got to say is we had a blast, even if it was a crappy-ass movie. And we will bring another movie that never made it to a modern format really soon. So I've been the Grutz.
I've been Jesse.
And thanks for listening.
Coming straight from the mouths of madness, I'm Lowdown.
I'm F.U. Hunter.
Do you love horror?
We fucking do.
So this is a podcast dedicated to all things in cinematic horror. We're talking movies, television, composers, special effects artists. We're gonna fucking cover it.
So if you love horror,
embrace the madness.
In a world ravaged by movie studios that keep rehashing the same things, only one podcaster has the guts to make it even worse. Join Mike the Hobbit as he traverses the internet to bring you some of the best and worst ideas for reboots, remakes, and reimaginings of some of your favorite and least favorite TV and film properties. Ideas like a John Waters He-Man movie, Fantastic Four the musical, and Aliens, done entirely with marionettes. What podcast would bring this evil upon the world? This is Smack My Pitch Up. Available anywhere you get your podcasts.
GUIPodcast.com.